It was January 5th, 2022. The day became night. Barabbas, 1961.
Ought to be lucky considering how things have gone for you.
I'm not used to the light. It plays tricks.
If I was you, I shouldn't loiter. I'd want to see the back of this place.
It's hard to hear. It's as loud as the volume goes. But he says he's not used to the light. See, what they did was they didn't just put the crown of thorns around his head, they twisted the crown of thorns around his head. And when you twist things, you are turning it in a different direction that could turn it from something that's true to something that's a lie. You're twisting the words.
Water in the sight of all, washed his hands before the sun, and said, I am free of this man's blood. You will have to bear the blame. And everyone responded, Let his blood fall on us and our children as well. But none of the Jews there washed their hands, and neither did Herod or any of his magistrates. Then Pilate got up, since none of them would wash. And King Herod commanded that the Lord be taken away, saying, Do as I've instructed you. And Pilate, wishing to pacify the multitudes, ordered that the people's will be carried out. Pilate set Barabbas, the man who had been in prison for rebellion and murder, free among them, for he was their chosen one.
Do as I have instructed you. Pilate, wishing to pacify the multitudes, ordered that the peoples be carried out. Wait, let me back this up. When Pilate sensed that he was getting nowhere with this, he was only stirring up a greater commotion. He took water in the sight of all, washed his hands before the sun, and said, I am free of this man's blood. You will have to bear the blame. And everybody else responded, Let his blood fall on us and our children as well. But none of the Jews washed their hands, and neither did Herod or any of his magistrates. Pilate washed his hands, and Barabbas washed his hands. What does that tell you? Barabbas washed his hands because he knows, and Pilate washed his hands because he knows. But none, there's even like a serpent here with an eye and the head like that, mouth open up, wearing a crown. So he washed his hands because he was the one that was set free because of Jesus. Sometimes I have so much information to try to put out, and it takes a while to get started. And then once I get started, then it starts to flow a little bit better. Because I'm always trying to figure out, where do I start with this information?
Today, we have to make a choice. Are we going to serve God, or are we going to serve the devil? Are we going to choose Barabbas, or are we going to choose Christ? Are we going to make sure that we do the right thing, or we don't care whether we do the right thing or not? Jesus said, you cannot serve two masters.
When I first started YouTube, I was more into learning about Daniel. I read Daniel studied Daniel more than any book. I didn't really focus too much on Christ. I was mainly trying to figure out the timeline, because when I read about Christ, he wasn't given any specific dates or anything. But in Daniel, all right, so there's a 70-year period, 70 years have passed, and then it's at that time that's around there when it starts. nation Israel being a nation 70 years ago, 70 AD, 2018. So around that time, I'm thinking, all right, well, we must be in the book of Daniel. So let me focus in on what Daniel is doing and saying, try to predict the end of the world and the events. So that was the spirit that came into me. And then I started to focus in on Christ, where I didn't know much about him. I knew more about Daniel than in the Old Testament than in the New Testament. Now there's something about Paul that I want to find out, because again, I really didn't focus much on Paul until it became a piquing interest of mine. Same thing with Christ. I didn't focus in on paying attention to Christ when I was paying attention to Daniel. But maybe Christ was up there like, Robin, come on, pick me. And then, like, yo, read the red letters. If anybody said that, maybe they were trying to get me to read the red letters. And then once that portion is understood, how the crucifixion really happened, what the rising of Christ really means, and then getting to the next portion of Acts, as Acts has already been being played out. But maybe I'm a little bit further behind the line, and people are trying to get me to get in line with the times, because that's all I want to know. I want to know, where are we at in the Bible? Where are we at?
Kind of man Barabbas was. He was a robber. A robber is a hold-up man, a spoiler, a pillager, a person that is a raider. That's the kind of character that Barabbas was. And these wicked Jews chose this awful character to be released rather than the Lord Jesus Christ. Now, I want to say tonight that everybody has a choice when it comes to religion. You have a choice in choosing Jesus Christ or the devil.
Because somebody's still trying to play games, and I'm trying to decipher who it is.
January 4th.
And if I'm wrong, I'll be glad to stand corrected. But if I'm right, then I'll get some negative feedback and some threats or something or another. I know how it works.
As of January 4th, 2023.
Still to this day, the reason why I sense that Jonathan Kleck is doing those things is because he's been trying to prove too much.
The same day after my video in the morning, heads up for the pathetic troll, there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth.
I'm on my second week of antibiotics, and every day I feel like I'm getting over the hump. I just go backwards a little bit. Anyway, I'm doing. They're using my moniker right here. So
Corey Barbie moniker. The film called Rosemary's Cox. Happy New Year, guys. I love you all. Thank you so much for what you do. God bless all of you. I'm not afraid to die. I want to go home and get raptured. And they also mean so much. Thank you. I have something bigger to introduce. Let's converse. The film called Avonpost is from 2019, is about Elohim agenda. What's so bad with what the person's even saying? The moniker. He's saying thank you. Write me.
this is my moniker right here. It says Corey Barbie, and they're doing this. Write me this 57048. This is some dirtbag.
Yeah, but why is he a dirtbag? It doesn't even sound like he's saying anything mean.
And by the way, we're saving all your metadata, dirtbag. And so if you go to this channel, you'll see it's nothing. It has absolutely nothing. And so it's someone just trying to troll this channel. So be very, very careful. If you want to know
That was FU 3 times in a row.
if it's me, all you have to do is this. Let me show you. So if you're on my video, down the alley, if you're on a video and you see that moniker right here that shows mine, click on it. Just go click on it, and it'll take you to the channels, say Corey Barbie, and it'll list all the videos right here, and you'll know it's my channel. But in the case of the dirtbag, that's trolling us, it'll take you to the channels, say Corey Barbie, and it'll list all the videos right here, and you'll know it's my channel. But in the case of the dirtbag,
I try to perceive things. I try to keep out what I believe it is more towards what I believe they're trying to get you to perceive. It's just, all right, so what are they trying to get you to perceive with saying it? And then I'll say, well, what I believe is it may be the exact opposite. Stopping and saying the dirtbag when this Jonathan Clegg was doing a video that same day. I'm not sure if there was a cut anywhere, but Corey and Zach were outside, but now they're not, and then it's just replaced with him. So maybe it's a twin switch from the one to the other, and then I'll find out when one of the next videos come up to see if it's good Johnny and then evil Johnny was up. Now, is this good Johnny or evil Johnny? I think he's calling him a scumbag or a dirtbag. But this Johnny here, which one is this?
get a hold of them. I really would. People like that, you know what? I can't imagine the future that's in store for you, whoever you are. I can't even imagine it. I mean, I'm serious. I can't imagine the future that's in store for you. The horror is probably beyond your greatest dreams.
People can talk in a way where it's so intimidating sounding, but you know what they mean behind the intimidated words? The exact opposite.
Even imagine it. I mean, I'm serious. I can't imagine the future that's in store for you.
Like, I can't imagine how the future that's in store for you. I can't imagine how.
The horror is probably beyond your greatest.
The horror is beyond. And then, you know, those greatest dreams that you have?
Greatest dreams. I serve the Most High God. I serve El, the Almighty God. The Vatican's a snake. Largest altar in the world's a dead sheep.
Here's what I think. I think whoever Jonathan Clegg is, sometimes I throw it up against the wall. I'll say maybe he's Satan in the flesh. Maybe he's the one that rules the planet. Or maybe not. Maybe he's just a false prophet. Maybe he's the beast. I mean, maybe he's the dragon. Maybe he's Pope Benedict. Maybe, I don't know who he is ultimately, besides somebody that knows what the future holds, because he showed me a tremendous amount of things that he was responsible for before it happened. And then I just pointed him out to you and said that he did it. I can't prove it, but it's him over there. He told me that it was going to happen. that takes me to the wounded head part that nobody believes except for the one whose head is wounded and the one that he communicates with about his wounded head. And WWE wrestling, writing scripts, none of them are really enemies. They're all actors. They all hang out and, whatever. It's all an act. But, I mean, Jonathan Kleck is a damn good actor. Whoever else is on that channel, very good actor. He may be talking about his twin, or he may be talking about himself with his dual personality. Or there really is no actual twin. It's just him acting as both characters. And he was mad in the beginning, but then his head got wounded, and then it got healed, but he's still going to read the same type of script with just wait, shoots in store for you, right? Yeah, you. Whoever you are, can't imagine your future's beyond your heart with grace, wildest dreams. Anyway.
I'm the guy that the Lord had deliver that information, and you're trying to pose yourself as me by deceiving other people.
He could be talking to his twin that's on the same channel. I just don't know why, if you're an enemy with your twin on the same channel, why would you allow him to still upload videos on your channel to act as if you're him, but you're not. You're the other twin. You're the other twin. This twin here is not
going
the
on
same.
Anyway, I'm over the hump, I think. I want to share with you guys something just
because it's like a bad acting scene from General Hospital. It really is.
Very quickly. Y'all remember all the doves that were at the Night Under the Stars? Came from on the fence, and they have magnets on the back. So they have magnets, so it's easy to put up and just stick it back onto that metal fence.
And my hospital has a magnet right out front where I was born at. No, not in Mary Gardner, but I was born here, and it used to just be called General Hospital. So I was born in General Hospital, just like a soap opera, and my job is to droll everybody in my direction, the beast of the field. But first I had to make sure that I had a barcode on my toe at Bartow, Florida. Dr. Big Bird here, he has his lad eyewear on, and he's coming face to face with a calf, the face of a calf. Eye, ear, nose, hoof, mouth, bottom. And all these animals here see the tail? They're coming in to this inside of the landscape, like a zoo. It's like they're inside of the fenced wall, and they're all going in that direction. The travel. Look, even his arm is back here like that, and he's like, everybody's in movement. The faces, the frog face, the eye. And look at the eye. It's just the eye's looking up. This one's looking over there. You can see what you want, but I'm pertaining it to the beast of the field. I'm pertaining it to animals. I'm pertaining it to if it's a zoo, because Joel Karim, he was at the zoo when he made his first video. And Joel Karim is also someone that would be Joel dropping with the eye here and the nose and the mouth and the jaw unhinged, putting his foot in his mouth because it's an eye for an eye when you pluck one out, and a tooth for a tooth. With the boot, maybe that's Israel. You know how Israel looks like a boot? That's a sewage portion that looks like a tooth. It's so cool when you look at what makes the design from the heavens. That way I can show you what, I can open up heaven for you and let you look down there. But so Joel Karim made his video, and then I made my first video 11 years, 11 months, and 11 days after April 23rd, 2005, with me at the zoo. And Joel Karim was talking about the elephants with the long trunks. So this is the head of the trunk. And then, I mean, it looks painful. It just looks painful. Unlike Lakeland Regional Medical Center, right here, it's not a real zoo like type of an atmosphere. There's no real open grass. There's not much grass. There's some trees, but there's no grass. A little bit of landscape. Maybe Jesus was tending the garden here. He could have worked there, and he was tending the garden, but he wasn't Jesus Barabbas, the all-seeing eye. He wasn't Plankton. But maybe he took care of the garden, and that's probably why Mary, who's over here at 300, right here, 300 Lakeland Regional, that's the doctor practitioner. Her name is, or his name, I didn't check, Gardner Mary at 300 Parkway. 300 pages of evidence could mean it's time to move to the next character. That character's finished, it's fulfilled, it's understood. It's like when the Daniel portion, learning Daniel, and then, okay, I get it. And so now we're in a different timeline. And then 300 pages of, now it's next. So it's not really a zoo type of an atmosphere where Joel Karim kind of takes claim. This hospital would be more like El the Almighty God's hospital. Lakeland. 50-yard line, 50-50. Baseball field. It's not Henry Field, but it's Henley. It's not Robin Henley's field. I mean Henry's field. It's Rabbus Henley's field. Yeah, Rabbus Henley. You know, when I look at this front portion, it kind of looks like Philadelphia Phillies, doesn't it? Has the red around it. The eyeball here. I just can't really figure out what exactly it is supposed to be. Maybe it's Bigfoot. You know how the elite love showing stuff from the sky. It's the elephant in the room.
This huge big elephant in the room that nobody is addressing any longer. And I feel like since I left because of a tragedy that happened in a family, so I wasn't able to work, I feel like everybody is talking about everything, but not really
not the elephant
talking about the elephant in the room that's causing all of this. So that should be a focus, because after all, the entire
don't forget about the elephant.
2 and 2 with the bases loaded and 1 out.
Is focused on a future prepared certain country being ahead of middle religion and religion. So I'm certainly coming back to tackle those subjects.
Up, I want people to see about the elephant in the room, because there still are. I thought we had a playlist on here. I have a hard time seeing, guys, so please forgive me there.
I think you had to take it off of YouTube.
You know what?
But it's on our website,
yeah.
Israeli News Live. If you go, it's
that's where it's at. You're right. That's where it's at. I apologize. Yes. It is on IsraeliNewsLive.org. By the way, don't forget, Patreon. When the month rolls over, you guys all fall off. And
Gardner Mary. The elephant in the room. 300. The elephant in the room. 300. Gardner Mary, the doctor.
I have not been saying much because I cannot, but I will share with you this much right here. This notebook here, and I can't really show you there, but there are tabs inside. 300-page document of evidence.
You know what he's talking about? His first coming. There were several signs of his first coming. Anybody know how many? About 300.
That was on December 31st, 2022. This was on December 26th, 2022. 26, 31st.
In the OT was that any prosecution of a human must be accomplished using 2 or 3 witnesses to the offense, and that all of these witnesses must agree with each other. It is a concept that can be found in our modern courts today.
So it's either one of the requirements found was that any prosecution of a human must be accomplished using 2 or 3 witnesses to the offense, and that all these witnesses must agree with each other. It is a concept that can be found in our modern courts today. It wasn't exactly the verse I was looking for. I was looking more for, even in your law, it has been written that the testimony of 2 men is true. Where'd it go? In the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses shall every word be established. This is the 3rd time I am coming to you. Every matter must be established by the testimony of 2 or 3 witnesses.
This notebook here, and I can't really show you there, but there are tabs inside. 300-page document of evidence. 3 states involved, 3 district attorneys are involved. And that is over the incident of what happened in Tennessee a year ago. So your help is greatly needed for us. I can tell you that even the evidence is overwhelming. This case, and the evidence is overwhelming. Yeah, I'm actually just pulling up. I want people to see about the elephant in the room because there still are. I thought we had a playlist on here.
Huge big elephant in the room that nobody is addressing any longer. And I feel like since I left because of a tragedy that happened in a family, so I wasn't able to work. I feel like everybody is talking about everything, but not really
Not the elephant.
talking about the elephant in the room.
Then there's inflation. Around the world, not just in our country, but around the world, inflation has touched people, especially the poor and the middle class, and it seems to affect every segment of the globe. So, the name of this message is What Will the Future Hold? This is a prophecy update, and really this is a little bit of a teaser for an upcoming series that we are going to begin in the near future about the end times in specificity. 21, I'm going to predict the future and tell you 4 things that will happen. I won't tell you when they'll happen, but I will tell you that they will happen. 4 certainties for your future. Number 1, there will be an end. So, we've established 2 things. There will be an end of the world, and Jesus will be back. 2 certainties. Number 3.
Elephant in the room has more of a serpent's face-ish type horse, seahorse, elephant from the front, scorpion sting from the rear. But the real zoo, it's not here at the Almighty God Lakeland Stadium. It's not there. You go down here where the big baby's head is, and there's more of a landscape for the animals coming in to the ark. With the main bird doctor, Dr. Bird.
And to them, they sensationalize everything. They're building their ministry on just prophecy. Every conceivable thing is a sign, whether it's a Jewish holiday or a blood moon or the Starbucks logo. Everything's a sign.
It's on my channel, or the Corey channel. We're doing just a quick trial run. Here we go. All right. Here is a scene from Scooby-Doo, and you'll see that Mary Jane, Shaggy's girl that he met on the trip, she is demonically possessed. And Scooby says to Shaggy, Mary Jane's a man in a mask. Mary Jane is a man in a mask.
They're building their ministry on just prophecy. Every conceivable thing is a sign, whether it's a Jewish holiday or a blood moon or the Starbucks logo. Everything's a sign. God made you. If Jesus Christ formed you, then he can fix you. If he's the one responsible for your existence, then when you have an obstacle, a difficulty, a challenge, a trial, a heartache, he knows you so well because he made you that he can fix you. Let me tell you a little story about a little guy by the name of Charlie. And I say little guy because he was only 4 feet tall. He had some physical challenges. He had all sorts of medical conditions that left him deformed, so he was only 4 feet tall. But little Charlie was one of the smartest people alive at his time and probably in history. He ranks up there with people like Albert Einstein or Nikola Tesla. His name was Charles Steinmetz. He was an electrical engineer. He was a physicist. He was a chemist. He was a mathematician. He was just a brilliant guy. He was so smart that when Henry Ford started building his automobiles, he had a problem in his factory in Dearborn, Michigan. And he knew that since a machine broke down, nobody can fix it. There is only one person who can fix my generator, and that is Charles Steinmetz. So he called for Steinmetz to come in and fix his problem. Steinmetz came to the plant in Dearborn, Michigan. They offered him the best engineer team with him, the best tools, and he said, I really don't want anything. I don't want anyone. All I want is a pencil, a notebook, and a cot to sleep on. So he moved the cot by the broken generator with his pad of paper and his pencil. He started writing notes and making calculations and looking around and making observations. And the second day, he lapsed into the second night, and on the second night, he asked for a ladder. And he climbed up the ladder on this generator at a certain point, observing it, and he took a piece of chalk and he made a single mark on the generator. Then he told the skeptical team of engineers at Ford Motor Company, remove the plate where I made the chalk mark and replace 16 winds of the field coil. And they were skeptical. They thought, that'll never work. But they did it. And you know what happened? It worked. It worked. It worked. And Henry Ford was elated. He was so happy. I knew Charlie could fix it. He was elated until he got the bill in the mail. Now, the bill in the mail from Charles Steinmetz's company, General Electric, was for $10,000. A hefty sum in those days, a hefty sum any day. He said, $10,000 for doing that? So he wrote back to Steinmetz and he said, I demand an itemized bill. Steinmetz wrote back and said, all right. For making the chalk mark, $1. For knowing exactly where to make the chalk mark, $9,999. See, it's not about making the chalk mark, it's about knowing exactly what to do.
Notorious for naming his dunks, the self-proclaimed Chocolate Thunder became the NBA's answer to Muhammad Ali. The self-proclaimed Chocolate Thunder became chocolate.
For knowing exactly where to make the chalk mark, $9,999.
I got the cash in the bag, stadium packed. Born a rock star in this life, gonna live it up on the attack. Baby, I'm bad. I just wanna get caught up in this life. I'm crazy, I'm mad. Doing no cap. Only God wants you, better go live it up. Cash in the bag, stadium packed. Baby, I'm bad. Yeah. Baby, I'm bad.
I just wanna stay bad, stay mad. Shit by my shoulder cause they treat me like an outcast. I'm on my shoulder cause they treat me like an outcast. I ain't gonna take that, stay back. I'll be swinging hard till the hits come in all caps.
Men traveling with Saul stood there speechless. They heard the sound, but they didn't see anyone. Then he fell to the ground, heard the voice. Saul, Saul, why do you persecute me? Who are you? I'm Jesus of Nazareth, who you're persecuting. My companions saw the light, but they didn't understand the voice, right? All they heard was a loud sound, okay? And then 26:14, we all fell to the ground, and I heard a voice saying to me in Aramaic, Saul, Saul, why do you persecute me? It is hard for you to kick against the goads. Again, he alone can perceive the language that is being spoken and the articulation that is being used. But
The first epistle of Paul the Apostle to the Corinthians. The first epistle of Paul the Apostle to the Corinthians, chapter 1. Paul, called to be an apostle of Jesus Christ, through the will of God, and Sosthenes, our brother, unto the church of God, which is at Corinth.
Corinthian Avenue, right by Eve 101, LOL, Barack Obama, Pet Goat 2. Called a White Rabbit. Corinth, Eastern State Penitentiary. The belly. Being in the belly of the beast.
The first epistle to the Corinthians was written from Philadelphia.
Two, saith he, shall be one flesh. But he that is joined unto the Lord is one spirit. Flee fornication. Every sin that a man doeth is without the body, but he that committeth fornication sinneth against his own body. Flee fornication. Every sin that a man doeth is without the body.
Every sin that a man does is without the body. Without the body, if it's talking about the flesh, like the flesh that's ruled by Satan, you're born into sin. It's the sin that a man does is without the body. So in spirit is where you sin. Not with the body, in the spirit, with what you're doing with your body is the sin.
He that committeth fornication sinneth against his own body.
What?
What?
What does that mean?
Know ye not that your body is the temple of the Holy Ghost, which is in you, which ye have of God, and ye are not?
I mean, yeah, and the one interpretation is it's in you. But then there's, if you want to take it in the spirit interpretation, it's not the same as that.
Ye are bought with a price. Therefore glorify God in your body.
But even so, the ones that have done that, it sounds like Paul's saying the sin that you do is what you do in spirit. It's what you do with people. It's the lying to the people. It's being deceptive to them. That's the sin. Suppression, keeping us slaves, being greedy, gluttonous. They're the sins. It's not what comes into your mouth that defiles a man, even if the freaking elephant's in the room. It's what comes out of your mouth that defiles you. It's in spirit. It's not what goes into your flesh. In other words, it's what comes out of your heart through the words is the sin. Because we've been lied to about everything. We're born with pleasure, but Satan makes you try to feel like you can't enjoy the pleasure you're born with. I mean, unless you get the mark there, or unless you have the mark. Me at the zoo. Here's me at the zoo. Oh my God, you can't even make this stuff up. Are you serious? You guys are so hilarious, aren't you? General Hospital tease. This is 13 hours ago. General Hospital tease January 4th, 2023, a day ago. General Hospital. It's the first time I looked up General Hospital, probably ever, on YouTube. And here the very first time it's
On the next General Hospital.
Some major accomplishment.
But we'll never know what. What changed her mind?
I know something that you two don't.
Who's you? About
I know something that YouTube don't. I know something that YouTube don't. Hold on. What'd she say?
You don't.
Who's you?
Changed her mind.
I know something that you two don't.
Who's you?
I know something that you two don't. This is a teaser of General Hospital coming up. When I punch in Polk General Hospital, Bartow, Florida. It goes from Gardner, Mary, 21 minutes, to Bartow Regional Medical Center. In other words, Bartow Polk General Hospital.
About Esme's memory. Confess, so our daughter can go free.
I know who you are.
General Hospital.
On the next General Hospital.
What does Victor have on my son?
She's going to blow you out of the water.
I'm not so sure.
What are you waiting for? Go grab her.
I'm never gonna tell myself those lies again.
Where you been hiding out the last 6 months?
Did you tell me what's happened to you?
What does Victor have on my son?
She's going to blow you out of the water.
I'm not so sure.
God always delivers, and he often delivers as a response to the prayers of other believers.
What I'm saying in this video 21 hours ago is, thank you, Father, for answering my prayers. The light rules.
This is why 7 of Paul's letters, he asked the church, pray for us. Pray for us.
And I'm just merely a human being.
January 4th.
Communicating with them.
January 4th in the morning, discerning 7 spirits. January 4th, January 4th, around 6:30 or so p.m.
Was not above asking people to pray for him. Please don't be above asking people to pray for you. 7 of Paul's letters, he asked the church, pray for us.
I feel like these are auditions for the next character. It's like, all right, who's next? Paul, you're up. You willing to play Paul? Oh, I guess I'll take a stab at it. Who's Paul again?
Meet somebody new after church. Say, hey, would you pray about this, and this week for me? We prayed for people before the service. We don't do that as, well, that's a nice little ritual to do. Churches should, throw up a token prayer. It's a good thing to do. We actually believe we're laboring for the Lord in prayer. And it works. Piece of chalk, and he made a single mark on the generator. Then he told the skeptical team of engineers at Ford Motor Company, remove the plate where I made the chalk mark and replace 16 winds of the field coil. And they
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 with a chalk mark with Henry Ford. Charge him $10,000, but $1 just for making the chalk mark. $9,999 gazillion dollars for knowing where to make the mark. partner Mary, Bartow Regional. It's like 1,260 days apart. In the morning of January 4th,
I was 40 years old, and then I hopped into the YouTube platform as a newborn. Dropped on the doorstep. This is my life. This is my journal. I write in it.
You have opened to 2 Corinthians, which is more or less the personal journal of the Apostle Paul.
My journal. I write in it just about every day.
I say that because 2 Corinthians is a book unlike so many of Paul's other writings. In 2 Corinthians, Paul's a little...
Writing in it to me is talking. It's no different. If we didn't have this technology.
More raw, a little more honest. Some who are scholars and have studied 2 Corinthians find it a little more difficult to outline it because they feel Paul is a bit scattered. I think he is just effusive. I think that...
Yeah, probably.
I don't think he has apostolic ADD or anything like that.
He probably has so much information, and he's probably trying to figure out how to distribute it correctly to everybody as effective as possible so you can spiritually hit grand slam, bottom of the ninth, 2 out, bases loaded, game-winning walk-off grand slam home run that wins the World Series. So maybe that's probably what it is. He probably had so much information here, information there, and is just trying to put it together for everybody.
He just gets these emotional outbursts that take him in a direction to reinforce a point.
So I still to this day, the reason why I sense that Jonathan Kleck is doing those things is because he's been trying to prove too much. Stephen James barely proves anything. He barely does videos. When he does, they're maybe a minute or two long. Sometimes he'll talk for a little bit. But he's not really trying to prove shit because he doesn't have to. He knows that his mighty works are already done in the beginning, right? Remember the crucifixion, 3/2/2018? And then
because of that, it reads like a personal journal.
This is my life. This is my journal.
I don't know how you have, up to this point, pictured the great Apostle Paul in terms of his personality profile. I find that most believers see Paul as kind of strong, aloof, maybe even distant, authoritarian, confident in every situation, always wearing a veneer of sorts of confidence. Doesn't let that guard down, doesn't let people see the cracks in his life. If that is how you have pictured Paul, allow that bubble to be burst. It will be in this book. Again, it's very straightforward. It's a bit more raw, even for Paul's other writings. He gives you a glimpse into his heart. In fact, I brought with me one of my favorite commentaries on 2 Corinthians by one of my favorite commentators on the Pauline epistles, Homer Kent Jr., and he called the name of this book A Heart Opened Wide, because that's what it is. So, for example, the kinds of things that Paul admits that he has gone through is insightful. the kinds of things that Paul admits that he has gone through is insightful. In chapter 1, he's going to talk about the kind of trials that he has faced and how dispirited and broken he was because of that.
Once he found out?
Those situations.
I know.
He'll say it again in chapter 4. He said, we're hard pressed from every side. We're perplexed.
This has many names. Gang stalking, mob stalking, community stalking. You're in the middle of this ridiculous, irrational impossibility that is real and is happening.
The times he was beaten and the times he was shipwrecked, and he's those situations. He'll say it again in chapter 4. He said, we're hard pressed from every side. We are perplexed but not crushed. And then we get to chapter 6, and he's going to talk about the times he was beaten and the times he was shipwrecked, and he's going to do it again in chapter.
Collecting telephone records of millions.
So here's what Paul's going to do. He was the last to know about the risen Christ. He was the last one to be converted. Then he went to the next role. He's seen the risen Christ, so he knew that his message came with Christ crucified already, not in the future period of time. He's preaching Christ crucified, resurrected.
Every side, we are perplexed but not crushed. And then we get to chapter 6, and he's going to talk about the times he was beaten and the times he was shipwrecked, and he's going to do it again in chapter 11.
It's like prophesying again. He already knows how Christ truly was crucified, what the meaning of it, behind all of it was, the actual truth. So, along with that truth comes a comforting feeling of knowing what his end will be also, because he's going to go through it again. He's going to go shipwreck, the same thing, beaten, bruised, and all that.
5 times I was...
Like 5 years.
Given 40 stripes by the Jews.
Coming in 40 years old, January 4th, after this video.
I was 40 years old. And then I hopped into the YouTube.
To do it again in chapter 11. 5 times I was given 40 stripes by the Jews, minus 1. 3 times I was beaten with rods. Once I was stoned. 3 times I was shipwrecked. I spent a night and the day in the sea. And
it was more than just once.
5 times I was given 40 stripes by the Jews, minus 1. 3 times I was beaten with rods. Once I was stoned. Former. 2 Corinthians is a product of the latter. When the apostle penned his second canonical epistle to the Corinthians, he was writing with a mixture of elation and deep concern, of personal defense coupled with generous understanding and praise. This beautiful letter is the most personal and revealing document we have from Paul's pen, for it uncovers the affectionate warmth of the man, while at the same time showing the anguish of heart which he often suffered. When I go through parts of 2 Corinthians, it's as though Paul dipped his pen not in ink, but in tears. That rawness comes through. Now, Paul had spent 18 months in Corinth. I'm just giving you a little bit of the background because we probably have a slim memory.
The closest thing to 18 months that I can remember is just 2 weeks ago, 18 months, the beginning almost 18 full months, January 14th, in another 10 days or so. So this is the day that Jonathan Kleck's channel went down on the Jonathan Kleck channel on YouTube. It went down. And then I started to follow him over maybe in Corinth, or he was following me over there for 18 months, which is up. So there's the 18 months. And then the next 3 years, I believe Paul was saying, or Skip was saying about Paul's ministry.
To 1 Corinthians so many months ago. I don't even know when that was. But Paul spent 18 months in Corinth.
But you just said how many months ago it was? It's 18. All right, so Paul is the connection around 18 months ago.
He came there, he met a couple by the name of Aquila and Priscilla.
I definitely met, I don't know what name the landscape is. I don't know I wish I had access to knowing what I see and then what the true meaning and name of everything is that nobody knows. Because I see Skip here. I just see him spraying the ants. I mean, if he wants to, the gun there, like he said he was going to do with a smile on his face. So I met somebody. I met a couple of yous. This one's sleeping like when Stephen Noon shows you on the Noon Institute channel. See that? Am I dealing with the Pharaoh and then Joseph, who was put second in charge? Because the landscape would show these eyes are both closed. I was thinking they were winking. It could pass for a wink, but it definitely is closed here, both of them. They're definitely both closed. There's a Vatican. There's another version of it. Serpent rising up from the sea. See the face more zoomed out here. It's blue. The eyes are both closed. It's almost like in the center, the mark in the middle of the forehead right here has the mark. Still sleeping like Adam until the breath of life was breathed back into him with this. It looks like someone laying in a hospital bed with something on its face to breathe. Because the serpent is in the garden. And right here is the Philadelphia Zoo. Me at the zoo. Joel Karim. And then you go down to Florida and you'll find an area at a hospital that I happen to be born at with Joel Karim here, with his Joel unhinged and an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. Joel Karim, me at the zoo. And this is like there's animals down there at the bottom. So get passed for a place where animals are fed at, if they're all coming in through the driveway to Dr. Big Bird here. F. Hill, probably, or Manuel Fiesta, who happened to graduate in 1961 and has 61 years experience as of today, this year. Who was the doctor that gave birth to me according to my birth certificate, with this magnetic field drawing all these beasts in this direction to the ark. The direction of the animals are going in. Even this one's turning in. He's getting ready to cross the street. He has his wife's hand. See the nose and the eye there? And they're basically just running. This one, see the face is in that direction. So they're all running to the ark. The feet. The direction is turning. Mr. Potato Head, he's running with no legs. They're getting ready to cross the street. Dr. F. Hill is there to greet the calf. Calf face. Birdman that looks identical to him, except for he has glasses on. Where it's a ruler and the guy in a wheelchair is pulling a wheelie with his prosthetic leg. But he seems to be having fun because who's going to pull wheelies on a wheelchair unless you're enjoying yourself? I'm starting to see something else. Like, now it's going this direction. Almost has his hands in his pocket, walking. This is the left foot. That's the right foot. What's in between here? And he's leaning his head down. And he's walking in that direction. Like that. Stepping over something. This, whatever's between the legs is magnetizing. And that draws all the beast. Could be riding the horse that rides the beast. But I haven't concluded that.
You've inflicted enough punishment on him, now receive him back. So to encourage a full restoration back into fellowship of that man whom Paul in the first letter said, deal with harshly, and they did, has now come back and wants restoration. So Paul writes, number one, to encourage the church generally, but to encourage the church specifically to restore him and forgive him and place him back into fellowship.
Who, Stephen James?
That's number one. Number two, he writes 2 Corinthians to explain to them why he changed his plans. Paul had planned in 1 Corinthians chapter 16 to visit them. He mentions in 2 Corinthians that plans had changed, and I don't want to go through all the perhaps what date, this or that. Nobody really cares. We don't.
6 days. Today's November 3rd. Six days ago, Paul Bagley said this.
My son's, he's got a truck. He's got a Dodge Ram. Battery went out. Okay, so he had to go get a battery. He started.
So do I. This is the old battery. I bought a new one, but my brother Yum Yum just happened to have a battery, so I bought that off of him for $75. This is $250, so I'll take that back. Because what had happened today was my brother.
Here it goes. You got something?
6 days ago.
So he had to get back. He started picking up the phone and calling the 3 different, auto parts stores in the city.
Paul had planned in 1 Corinthians chapter 16 to visit them. He mentions in 2 Corinthians that plans had changed, and I don't want to go through all the perhaps what date, this or that. Nobody really cares. We don't care. That's not going to really add to our usable knowledge base. But the point is, because Paul changed his itinerary in visiting Corinth, some mistook that as Paul being fickle, not hearing from God, and shouldn't be trusted. He wants to explain why the plans had changed. God and shouldn't be trusted. There's people working behind the scenes, so he wants to explain why the plans had changed. Explain why the plans had changed. Third reason he wrote 2 Corinthians is to enlist their help. To enlist their help. Paul had been traveling around to the Gentile churches where he had established churches and wants to collect an offering, a monetary offering, a financial gift, to take it back to the church in Judea, in Jerusalem, because they were suffering severe persecution at the time.
There's one, but that's not really a city. There's one that's overflowed. There's nothing here, nothing there. There's a couple there, but they actually bagged up their own trash.
The Jewish people were so against them, most of them lost their income, lost their jobs. So Paul says to the Gentile churches, let's help these brethren out. I'm going to swing by your area and...
There should be about 10 trash cans all along the side there. There should be 10 more right there. There should be 10 of them over there, 10 of them over there. Man, he is leaning. I thought they leaned forward. He's going to break his back. What? How can you even lean over like that?
Swing by your area.
That's what they were cleaning up. It was blue trash bags. The very next day. Look how clean. There's no trash all the way through there. Like barely anything. You can see the entire pavement. This video was January 2nd, and everything in this video showing you the Bing material is January 4th. So it's before and then after. This is the first day I drove by talking about this. And watch all the trash that's on the side.
Capital.
And then look how it's completely cleaned up. There's no trash on the sidewalk.
Capital.
Look at all the trash there. No trash. All on the side. The pillars on the side over here.
Right here.
How clear that is. That's amazing. The rock right there.
My dad used to live
around the corner, yeah. One step.
There's the rock.
It wasn't. So yesterday I drove. Man, there's so much trash. Now, so yesterday I drove through here, and I'm saying, man, there's so much trash.
Which is the same exact spot.
Isn't this bad?
Here.
They need to get they really should have trash cans 10 years ago, so things can be cleaned up. And then I'm driving to work this morning down this route. They cleaned it up. Cause this is the heart. Right in the heart of the heroin hub.
And after.
Like even they got brooms and stuff. They may have been handing out brooms, but I still don't see trash cans.
You mean for the witches?
I mean, there's one there.
That's the clean portion.
Lean going on down there, E Street, on the right-hand side. I never understood tents and like that guy's leaning over.
After.
Way more homeless people. If you shoot up.
Before.
And you get so high. Here goes one here. This one. I feel like the people that came down to Philly are
after
the most famous heroin addicts in the world.
Before.
Because you gotta figure.
All right, look at all the trash there. It's a pretty clear picture. January 2nd, before I drove by.
Backwards. Why don't you just sit down? Like that.
Same spot. Right here, there's old trash bags. Right at the very corner. January 4th. I have to get a clearer picture. I think I got it coming back the next day. But all of that was cleaned up. I don't know why I didn't record it, but see how clear? There's nothing on the pavement. Here, there's trash all over the place. It's the same pavement. These are probably the same trash bags or other ones that were picked up that weren't picked up yet. But you see, there's no trash along the side. And then the day before, when I'm saying something about it, there's trash everywhere.
Take a seat so you don't.
I was talking about the people that are high. Like, I don't know why they keep walking around when they're so high. Just take a seat so that way you don't.
So you don't fall over.
Before January 2nd, January 4th.
Look at that.
Look at that. Look at that. Look, there's results.
That's definitely cleaned up used more to 10 years ago. Look at that. World, because you gotta figure that the people that
you gotta figure. You gotta figure that used to look like a park 10 years ago. That's definitely cleaned up more. I'll show you a video comparing it from day one. This whole side here is looking pretty good. Down here, and then just set up shop out front of the stores and just throw their trash. You know, there's really no the stores and just throw their trash. You know, there's really no excuse for that unless they're just not putting up enough trash cans.
Before, there's the area. You'll see the check cashing spot. I looked right over in this direction. That's where it was.
Just throw their trash. You know, there's really no excuse for that unless they're just not putting up enough trash.
See the check cashing spot? See the check cashing spot? I'm actually a little bit closer on this video, and this is the after video. It was right there. It was right there.
Unless they're just not putting up enough.
It was right there. I wouldn't even have to show it, like trying to prove that they cleaned up when I said something the day before, because I didn't record the people cleaning up when I seen them in the morning. I was just too busy watching listening to another video.
Throw their shit away. What do you think? Because I don't even see any trash can. Well, let's see what we got here. Right, there's that one, but that's not really city.
After.
There's one that's overflowed.
Before.
And this is like the main hangout. There's nothing. This is probably where everybody gets their information.
After.
There's the best stuff there, but they actually bagged up their own trash. And it's like a leaning post.
Before. After. Pretty good, right? Just by speaking it out loud. Look at that. No trash. Trash.
There should be about 10 trash cans all along the side there. There's one trash can over there. There should be 10 more right there. There should be 10 of them over there, 10 of them over there. Man, he is leaning.
It's all right there. It's nothing.
I thought they leaned forward. Still nothing. He's gonna break his back. What? How can you even lean over like that?
Oh, trash there. Pretty impressive.
I never seen a lean back that much.